This is Before It Was Headlines, It Was Prophecy. I'm your host, Katie Elizabeth. Now, I have a report on the four riders, but, that's our regular weekly news. And today's a very special day in that it's part of the week of Sukkot, or the Feast of Tabernacles. And I'd like to talk about that just for a few minutes because it's been a real blessing, and I'd like to share it. And hopefully you'll be blessed as well. We've had our family squabbles as we prepare for the high holy days, and I've mentioned that before, that it is stressful getting a celebration put together. It always is. For any family, and we are family. But for the most part, I've noticed the blessing part has been the misunderstandings have been resolved before the holy days, or, an agreement to disagree, whatever. But the closeness of those who call themselves family amongst each other, who use the term love, we've been able to resolve, and for the most part, it's misunderstandings of, typing through social media, whatever, but it's been so beautifully resolved, and that's such an awesome thing to be a part of and to witness. Now, we've also had the usual, which day is the exact right day, discussion and searches, but this year has also been different. We still have the usual few that say, I'm doing it right and that's that. And true enough, we are all doing what we believe to be correct. But this year, there was a love that I've enjoyed witnessing, sharing, and just generally being a part of that I haven't really seen before. And I've been celebrating for a lot of years, these celebrations. Because there's some differing of perspective as to the definitive beginning of the new month. It talks about the moon and the new month. And then, there are books that have been written, books that have been discovered, and of course, then there's Google. Not to overlook the pre-printed calendars that are figured years ahead of time. But the actual day is not the issue to which I refer. This year, those of us who share the general tenets of our faith, in that we do want to celebrate the feasts of Yud-Heh-Vah-Heh, have had an understanding of this very important month, to have had a start day with about a 4-day variance. Some of us were celebrating Yom Teruah, I believe, the evening of the 4th of September, while others, I think it wasn't until the 7th, and all those days in between as well. And what was such an amazing blessing is this year, rather than debate it through the high holy days, or demand that our rightness be acknowledged, we simply went about our business the best we could understand in loving Yud-Heh-Vah-Heh, our Elohim, with all our heart, soul, mind, and strength. That was the first priority. And in loving our neighbors ourselves, we wished our fellow believers a blessed and meaningful day, whichever day they were observing. What a blessing. I received well wishes from people I knew were not observing the same day I was. And I tried to be diligent in sending those as well for people that I knew it was on a different day. And some of us even went, a few steps further in an attempt to not add to or take away from Scripture, because you don't want to do that. But we did make a point of not buying and selling on a day we knew somebody else was observing. If I wear my head covering, if I get my tzitzit, then, I don't want to be going to town and saying, well, I'm not doing it today. We didn't call any attention to the differences this year. And that, to me, is huge. It's really a big change. And like I said, there are still some, four kinds of people. There are still some that, want to differentiate, and that's fine. But it didn't change the entire event this year. Because I tell you what, in the 6th month this year, I really thought that we were going to have to break out in a whole lot of new denominations. But Yud-Heh-Vah-Heh is awesome. He's bigger than we can figure out how he's going to resolve things. So, along with the well wishes, many of us also prayed for others on those other days. Because you know what? Here's a fact. Here's just a fact. We are all missing it somehow. Not everybody is right on 4 different days. But considering there's 4 kinds of people, we are all very clearly at different places in our journey. And there are some that are just like the very young children in a family. They're going to show up and be excited because it's a special day. That's that. They're not going to understand. They're going to count on someone who's been in it longer or more mature to let them know about that. Let them know what day to be ready to celebrate. And then there's, the others that are a little more, well, let me know what you want me to bring, just kind of keep me posted kind of folk, just like we have in our earthly families. And then, but as we mature, some of us are going to be called to bring the main dish, which I look at it as the teachings. And there are some amazingly godly teachers right now that are just, they're really being diligent in this. There are some that are going by the wayside and some that are getting caught up in their fame, but there are some very diligent men of God that are just faithful to their call and diligent to what they're teaching and very humble in their acknowledgement that they don't know everything. What a blessing. And by that same token, there are going to be those of us who are called at some point to, to host or hostess or to set the table or to provide the beverage. We've got different parts in this. But I can honestly see that this year, there's a desire that being in unity is more important than being personally right. Now, I'm not saying right with God. That does come first. We don't compromise on that. But every one of us who was observing is seeking to observe and please our Father, to be at that divine appointment. And we also know that, it is all going to get resolved when Messiah returns. He's going to tell us exactly what day it is. And what a blessing that will be. And I know we have still had some splits through the year, and in some ways, it's been a good sifting. It's truly been a good sifting. We can't say we love God and treat our brothers and sisters poorly. We just can't do that. So, the siftings are going to come. But by the same token, there have been many who've made a true concerted effort to be in unity and love. Even if we see things differently, we acknowledge that, I may not see it the way you see it or the way you understand it, but it could be I'm not seeing it right. That's possible. It's like we're starting to acknowledge that, and I love that. What a blessing. And I have seen this dramatic change occur in about the last 6 months. It seems like between Passover, between Pesach, between Passover and Week of Matzah, and these high holy days in the fall, I've seen some real change coming about. And what a blessing it's been. I'm encouraged in the end of days that the body is coming together in unity. We're getting some practice at a distance. And I know that there have been some very organized gatherings this year. And, very soon we'll be having the opportunity and the responsibility to dwell in unity together. And at some point, there are many of us who are looking at the possibility of that becoming more real on a long-term basis before Messiah returns. So whether we're in unity at the point of his return or we're in unity working together before he returns. The step towards unity has been taken, and I'm so excited about that. It's not ecumenical. It's none of the trendy things that have happened before. It's a true, genuine, we want to celebrate the days that Yud-Heh-Vah-Heh has called us to celebrate as a set-apart people. I pray your Sukkot is blessed and meaningful. And I truly pray. This is something I saw that it's always a tradition at the end of the Pesach Seder to say next year in Jerusalem. Well, I can't say that that's, I have to admit that may very well be based more on tradition than scripture. But I do know Zechariah 12 and 14 does talk about having Sukkot festival, having Sukkot in Jerusalem. And so, this has been, before it was headlines, it was prophecy. I'm Katie Elizabeth for Sukkot next year in Jerusalem.